And we are back with another episode of the Julius Files, the water cooler for small business. I am your host, Jasan Julius, and today I'm bringing you a very special episode. We're gonna title this episode "Pouring into Your People." This episode is special because I'm doing something a little bit different. I had a team meeting with one of my teams last night, and I went back and I will record my meetings for clip. It's for social media, for different references and whatnot. But when I looked at the meeting as a whole, it turned out good. When I say it turned out good, I mean the recording was clear. It was a good, solid recording. But when I started thinking about, maybe potentially this is a podcast, it got back around to like this podcast thing that I'm doing. I'm not a podcaster. I'm an entrepreneur. I am a business operator, and I do these podcasts because I'm hoping that my words or my observations or my perspective and viewpoint can help other small businesses along the way. And at the end of it all, it's like you have to be real. And I don't want to feel like potentially I say or do something and my words or actions don't align. And because I'm pretty much an open book, it was that this is a legit employee meeting, that this is what I say to my team. This is how I am as an actual operator. And I want to show everybody. Part of it to say, like, this is me, I'm real, this is how I lead. The other side of it is that if you're wondering what you can say to your team or how you can get through to them, well, I think that I display a perfect or a perfectly good example of a way to get through to people, a way to get them to buy into your program. And I think that you're going to find out by listening to this employee meeting that I'm real, that I keep it very blunt, that I keep it very honest with them, that I'm real about it. And I hate to keep coming back to that word, but being genuine and not BSing people. And I know that, in a lot of social media, like, you see glamorization, you don't see what's going on behind the scenes. So you really don't know if it's real or whether they're just putting on an act because there's an actual camera involved. But I record all of my employee meetings. This one just came out really clean, where I thought, okay, this is a perfect example of how a general team meeting goes for me, at least with this team. So I wanted to put it out there, and hopefully you actually gain some insight from it, and maybe you pick up something from it. But without further ado, we will just roll into to this special edition, this water cooler talk of a meeting that I just had with one of my teams. All right. So I myself have noticed improvements. Those improvements have been, generally speaking, across the board. It's also been because I got to a point where I look back at the mistakes that I made in 2022, and I wasn't willing to make them in 2023. And I made it very clear, I'm willing to let people go. I'm willing to demote. I'm willing to make change until I get the people in the place that I need them, until I get a group to function like I need them to function, because this is not rocket science. This is building high quality pizzas. This is serving quality food, and understanding that we are providing an experience for our customer. This is not pizza, Little Caesars. You throw some garbage on some dough and put it out the door for $5. Like, we are selling a high quality product, and I need people to actually take pride in that. And then, just like they were talking about with the scheduling, we have a system. You operate the system and operate the system well. We make customers happy. We make good product. They come back. We scale in business, meaning we have to add more people, and we put more people in the system, and each job in the system becomes less because you have more people in the system itself. If you really think about it, The max that you're going to put in that kitchen is 7. You can put 4 people in front of the oven and 3 people on the back of the oven. That is, if both ovens are running at max capacity, you do not have room for an 8th body in the kitchen. That is your max that you're going to put in the kitchen is 7 plus drivers. And at that, you're going to be running 3 to 4 drivers. So you're not going to, 10 or 11 is your max in that kitchen. But let me tell you, you hit that, we're knocking down $2,000 hours. This place has never seen a $2,000 hour. I would happily take it because that's about stress testing and about literally having that much demand for our product inside of 1 hour. But we regularly do $1,000, $1,200 hours. So, and it does not take the 7 to actually produce that. You know, the old saying, you praise in public and reprimand in private. I'm going to single out Andrew because I'm going to use him as an example. I'm not going to even look so far backwards to even think about the relationship with him when he was in here previously. Like many, Andrew left to go try and do something else. Say try and do, to go do something else. And for his own reasons in life, it brought him back to us. And generally, I would like to think that most people go and for whatever agitation they might find in this place, they go work for somebody else and they find out, I'm not that bad of an employer. This place is actually a pretty decent place to work. And you come back with a renewed sense of appreciation for the place. Andrew came back, and at the same time, we had some shortfalls, and he had an opportunity to step up. 2 raises in 30 days. So in the last 60 days, Andrew has gotten 2 raises. Why? Performance. Straight up performance. Like, dude, I've been very happy with the way that like with anybody, you're going to come back in the door. I'm going to question, how are they going to come back in the door? But when you came back in, it was just like riding a bike. You didn't play stupid and act like you forgot anything. You came in here, you did what you needed to do. You ingrained yourself back into the group. You've been an asset the entire time that you've been in here. Your performance has steadily increased. And I would like to think that in a very short order that I rewarded you for that steady increase in productivity and improvement. You got a great laugh because it's intoxicating. It makes everybody else laugh. It keeps it lighthearted inside of the kitchen and in the midst of the stress of everything. That lightheartedness and it's a positive thing. So it's you've got a very distinct laugh that like everybody knows that it's you, but it's a great thing because it's the Andrew laugh, and like I said, it keeps everybody smiling. And brother, like I said, you come in here and work like this and act like this, well, then I appreciate you to no end, and I thank you for coming back, and I still look forward to a long and fruitful relationship. The continuity of the group both is everybody backing off and not taking everything so seriously. Everybody realizing we've all got a job to do. And through my own little looking internally, I'm like, what am I missing with this group? Because I didn't have this kind of turnover when I was actually running it. And I have been trying to work with John and Heather. And John, I had a conversation with about be nice. And it wasn't like he's an ass out here. It's just that John himself is still young. And I mean, come on, guys. We all have our own idiosyncrasies. We all push each other's buttons in our own ways. And when you're trying to manage, you're like, okay, how do I get my point across that I need something different out of you, or that you're agitating me, or that I need you to act or do a certain thing in a managerial way. And again, I have expressed the be nice and to ask and to try and get you guys to see things both from my perspective as an owner looking at a business and to see it from your manager's perspective that they've got a job to do. I don't have any complaints about Heather, but I have encouraged Heather, just use your eyes and your ears more so that you can use your mouth to coach, to guide, to train, and to hold people accountable quickly, not letting it sweep under the rug, not waiting for 24 or 48 hours to actually address an issue, to address an issue quickly so that little issues that are smoke don't fester and actually turn into fire. Because I believe if you do those little things, then you're able to address problems as they come and you get them out of the way. And as adults, we're all able to own our shit and then move on with the day and understand nobody's perfect. Everybody's going to make mistakes. Everybody's going to have a bad day. Let's address it as it comes, not make a big, huge deal out of it, and get on with our day in a positive way in general. On a bigger picture, Rebecca has a management style and I have a management style, and they are different management styles. And I believe that Heather and her management style plays very well with Rebecca's management style. That's coming from the kitchen. Then you've got Olivia and Kylie up front. They too play very well with Rebecca's management style. So I'm looking at this as a perfect storm of greatness. I have managers on both sides of Rebecca that play very well with her management style. I am encouraging communication. I'm encouraging coaching. I'm encouraging accountability. This is a team. None of us can do it by ourselves. You have to hold yourself accountable because I'm encouraging peer accountability and managers to hold themselves to a higher standard so that they are able to successfully hold you to a higher standard, because it's really hard for a manager to tell you to not do something or to own that you made a mistake if they in fact are themselves making a mistake. It's the same way, like, I will be the first to tell you guys, don't be out fucking with people. Don't do nothing stupid in life because it's going to haunt you. So when I look at myself, what does that require of me? I don't fuck with nobody. You won't find me out at the bar getting fucking drunk doing stupid shit. When I'm done, I'm taking my ass home and I'm going to go sit at home and I'm going to stay out of trouble. I don't mess around because I'm sitting here going, I need my actions to align with my words. So I don't go out and I don't do stupid shit. Everybody we're all the same. You know what makes us different? The decisions and the choices that we make in life. That is what separates all of us, the decisions and the choices that we make in life. I'm not going to sit here and tell you to make good decisions in life, and then over your shoulder, you can look back and watch me make bad decisions in life. I don't play that. I need my words and actions to align, because if I'm going to ask you guys to buy into what I'm doing, I need to know that my words and actions align. So I don't go out and put myself in a place of getting in trouble. I would encourage you to do the same. And I'm guaranteeing you're not going to find my actions not aligning with my words. So I'm talking to my managers about the same thing. I need them to be coaching you. I need them to be pulling you guys together as a team. So when the heat is on and there's the pressure of the rush, that you guys band together and you get it done and you don't crack. What that brings is a high level of accountability. And bluntly, if you're doing something stupid, be prepared to be called on it. If you're being late, you're screwing with the schedule, you're affecting customers, you're going to be called on it. If you're making mistakes, you're going to be called on it. It's not to shame you or humiliate you or to beat you up. We have processes and procedures. We have systems that we have to follow in order to go from customer presents an order, we capture the order, we're fulfilling the order, We are serving the customer and completing the transaction. There's a process that we have to follow, and if you're not on time, if you make a mistake, you will trip up that system in the fulfillment of the customer and providing a good experience. It really is not rocket science, but there is a systemized step for greeting a customer and then capturing their order and running it through our process. And if any of you make a mistake in that process, it trips up getting to a customer that pulls away from this place with, man, I love this place. And that is ultimately the goal, because if they do that, they will have a satisfying experience, and then they will go tell somebody else about their satisfying experience. And then that opens us up to another person or another person's family. And let's be clear, we are selling coffee and pizza. The demand for the product is not going anywhere anytime soon. Europe is known for their tea, and America is known for their coffee. Italy might be known for pizza, but America exploited it. It's capable of providing some good jobs. It's capable of creating a good, loyal customer base, and it's capable of putting food on all of our tables. We have to systematically execute, and if we are all operating as a high-functioning team, then we all understand we're going to call each other on our mistakes. And it's just to acknowledge the mistake to make sure that it gets fixed so that it does not affect the customer. It's not about beating you up about the mistake. It's about, you can't slide it under the rug, because if you slide it under the rug, it gets to the customer, and then the customer wants to know why they received subpar service or got a subpar product when they paid a premium retail price. Because let's be clear, our product is not cheap. And I'm proud of that, because I didn't go into business believing in the race to the bottom. I wanted to sell a high quality product. Being able to sell a high quality product means being able to offer decent wages, means being able to attract a customer based on quality and service, not on price. I didn't get into business to compete on price. I'm a small business. I will never have Amazon pricing. It is not humanly possible. We got into business to serve a high quality product with exceptional service, and our differentiation, we have some very unique items on our menu. That said, we are removing some items from our menu. We're getting rid of the Zohan because we're getting rid of the hummus. We're probably going to get rid of the Sausage Fest because we're going to get rid of the smoked sausage. We're getting rid of the Chicago style because we're not known for it, and the Chicago style being a dual cook, it affects the flow of the processes and the systems that I'm talking about, and I don't want to do things that make it harder for you guys to actually do your job. We need good flow so that I can go to the customer base and really push what we really sell a lot of. I love everything we have on our menu. But if you walked out of here at the end of the night and you made 100 pepperoni manias and 100 Ricky Bobbies and 100 Dorito tacos, I'd be a happy camper. Because those are the three main sellers. Now, I'm a big believer in, I love the Cajun heat. And I know the Picasso is a good pizza because I know our Alfredo is second to none. As we need to start selling our Alfredo retail by itself, because what we do with our Alfredo, I go to restaurants. There are a couple restaurants that have got Alfredo that come close to ours, but I don't know of anybody where I'm like, damn, they have better Alfredo than we do. Our Alfredo is the shit, and on a pizza, the way we make it, it's really solid. But it admittedly, it is not one of the top three selling pizzas. The Dorito Taco, the Pepperoni Mania, and the Ricky Bobby are our three big sellers. And you know what? I look at places like Chipotle and I'm like, our menu is 5 times the size of their menu. You look at that, they're scaled, and there's a certain something to be said for simplicity. And that's why I'm taking a good hard look at our menu and trying to simplify the menu. When I say that, I'm finally at the end where basically I'm putting a steak in Dad's Deli. That means No more deviled eggs, no more ham salad, no more chicken salad, no more potato salad, no more deli, no more Boss Man BLT, because it gets rid of the bread, it gets rid of the mayonnaise, it gets rid of the mustard, it gets rid of a bunch of single line items that do not align with what Pizza Junkiez does. And I'm trying to get to, this is what we're going to scale. This is what we're going to franchise. This is what we are going to sell and highlight, because I know this is what is most popular. We have data that it's like, you sell 1,000 of these, you only sell 20 of these. Not worth keeping a product in the building to sell 20 of something. It doesn't make monetary sense, because a lot of times, the same way that I'll try and tell you guys, put yourself in my position. If you're trying to understand where I'm coming from, well, put yourself in my position as an owner. I'm responsible for keeping the lights on. I'm responsible for paying the vendors. I'm responsible for paying all of the payroll. And if I'm telling you that we're struggling to pay all of these pieces, well, then from an owner's perspective, you can understand where I'm going to get on you about waste. I'm going to get on you about extra labor on the clock. I'm going to get on you about utilizing utility resources, because all of these things add up to get to the end of the month. And I got to be able to pay these bills. And ultimately, after 18 years worth of work, there has got to be profit left over, because I'm here to tell you, it is incredibly hard to run a business. And if there's not going to be profit at the end of the month, it is not worth my time to coordinate with your managers that coordinate with you to satisfy all the customers, which are ultimately all of our bosses. Because the customer is the lifeblood of the business, and they are going to vote with their dollars. And either we have dollars here to be able to pay everybody, or we don't. And this is the perspective that I come from. So when you guys look at it and be like, well, why is he being this way? Why is he saying these things? It's because I've got all that swirling in my head. You guys can look in here, and you're looking at these heads. You are half of the whole of this business. So I can't just think about you. I have to think about the other half of you. And then that is all of you that we're here to provide an experience to a customer that ultimately they think that experience is so good, they want to repeat that performance and come back and give us more money to do it all over again. And then I've got to deal with all the vendors that actually brings everything in here. Then I got to deal with all of the government entities that says, hey, we bless you being open. You're allowed to open your doors. I mean, all of this is what is swirling around in my head when I'm having to make decisions. So when you guys are thinking about, why are they getting on me about wasting cornmeal? Why are they getting on me about extra cheese in the tray? You're thinking very focused and basic. And I'm thinking from the 30,000 foot view, and I'm like, there's $1, there's $1, there's $1, there's $1. I just tracked $4 or $5 with my head in this snapshot of this minute. How many times is that going to occur through the day? Okay, I, through the course of a day, can locate $50 worth of waste. That's one day. We operate 30 days a month. Okay, I can now locate $1,500 for 1 month's worth of waste. Understand, in the food business, you're paying a vendor to bring you food, and waste is like you receiving it at the door and saying, thank you, I've got it from here, and then walking out to the dumpster and placing it in the dumpster. Now, how asinine is that? That is not good business. You do not go into business to literally pay somebody to bring you food, only to turn around and exchange it and then walk it out and throw it into the dumpster and say, thanks, have a nice day. Like, that is one of the crux of the food business. That is what waste is. It's just that you don't see it like that. What you visually see is that you are incrementally scraping kernels into a trash can, but you're seeing it as, oh, it's no big deal. It's only 10 kernels. No, it's 10 kernels that minute times 60 minutes, 60 kernels times a day. That's a bag of cheese. That bag of cheese cost me $50. That's just in cheese in that one day. You're looking at it thinking, oh, it's only 10 kernels in that moment. No, you have got to scale that to understand where I'm coming from as an owner, because I'm trying to cover all of these bases. And I'm like, if I could just get you guys to not waste those 10 kernels, well, that would lead up to $1,500 at the end of the month. And if I can pay all of the bills and go, hey, I can give myself $1,500 because they did their job. We made our customers happy and there's something left over. Okay, now, look, let's be clear, because I'm not a greedy person. I want more than $1,500 left over at the end of the month. Like that ain't cool. That $1,500 at the end of the month for literally managing a business that's doing $130,000, $140,000 a month. Like, no, I'm expecting more than $1,500. But I'm trying to get you guys to see from my perspective that when I'm talking to you about things, it's not because I'm trying to be a shit. I'm trying to get you to see from my perspective, because I'm seeing from your perspective and I'm trying to build a better organization. I'm trying to build a better culture that attracts a higher quality of individual so that we are a group of A and B players, and you can be proud, because let's be real. If you can look in the mirror and say, I'm an A or a B player, and I'm saying that because, again, everybody has a bad day. I'm an A player. I can have a B day, but I know that I'm an A player. I know that if I walk in the door and I'm about ready to contribute my brain or my hands to something, that people are happy that I'm here to contribute my brain or my hands, because I know that I'm capable, I'm competent, I know what I'm going to do. If you know yourself to be an A or a B player, do you want to mess with working with a D player? I mean, let's be honest. A and B players attract A and B players because they want to work with other competent, capable individuals. It is all based on respect, rapport, reputation. And if you're building respect and you're building a rapport with people, you're going to develop a reputation for being a certain type of individual. And if you know yourself to be a very competent, capable individual, you do not want to spend your time around incompetence. Okay. I'm just being honest and I'm being real about it. I want you guys to be that good because it allows me to look out into the world and say, hey, we're looking for additions to our team, but we ain't trying to mess with no D player. You're going to come in here and you're going to do your job well, and you're going to be a great addition to a business, or you're not going to fit because this business is A and B players and we're only looking to bring other A and B players into the organization, because I don't want to try and force D and F players down your throat and say, figure it out, work with them. That does not build a good culture. That does not encourage continuity with the group. If you're going to have to stop and transfer your knowledge to somebody else, you at least want to know that the time that you're taking to transfer that knowledge is to another A or B player that's going to get it. They're going to get it quickly. They're going to get it implemented quickly, and they're going to be a positive addition to the group itself. Now, I know that might sound harsh, but I'm just being honest, because I'm sitting there going, you guys don't think about these things. This is the stuff I'm having to think about psychologically when I'm saying I'm putting a group together. When you're building a team, every puzzle affects the rest of the actual team. So I'm being honest to say, I want A and B players because I want you to be a strong team. Because sooner or later, I want to write the book. My team will kick your team's ass, but I can't write that book if we don't actually do it. So I'm trying to be transparent with all of you. These are the things that I'm working on with your managers. Everybody's going to make mistakes. I don't have a problem with you making a mistake. I have a problem when you make the mistake a second and a third time, because that means that you're not learning from the mistake. Make sense? Because again, it's not rocket science. I am promising you, at 48 years old, all of you can tally up all of the mistakes that you've made. I have already made all of those mistakes. And you know what? I'm proud of it. because I'm sitting here today going, I have developed that experience and that wisdom because I got out and I failed quickly. And it was, you can ask Rebecca, for a long time, I fail often, just make sure that it doesn't take the business down, because the more times that I try and do something and I fail, I'm finding out what works and what doesn't work so that I can apply it to the next day. The failure's not a big deal. Mistakes are not a big deal as long as you're going to learn from those mistakes. So when you start making the mistakes a second and the third time, and you're like, is this an A or B player? I don't know, because they're not learning from their mistakes. What I'm trying to do is give you guys perspective about the lenses that I'm looking through. I need you guys to come in here and learn something new every day, and then come in here the next day and apply what you've learned. And I'm encouraging your managers to be using their ears and using their eyes, to be using their mouths more effectively when they're working with you, because that is the difference between a manager and an employee. As an employee in here, you are being hired to come in here and use your hands and your brain to fulfill a product. Your managers, their first duty is not to use their hands. Their first duty is to use their head. And again, I'm just being honest, because somebody has got to guide the group. You guys don't think about the things that are going in the background. They have to track waste. They have to communicate with each other. They have to take inventory. They have to order into the trucks. They have to put together a schedule. They have to plan for revenue and revenue shifts hourly throughout 7 days a week. Those are managerial responsibilities that are like, hey, we need you using your head before you use your hands. And I'm trying to get them to use their mouth to do more coaching, more guiding, more training, more accountability, because I look back in my early years and I'm like, how is it that I got such a low turnover and a team that really pulled together and stuck by each other and performed through the rush? I talked a lot, and I was fine with it. I got to know people. I got to know people's strengths and weaknesses. I was able to anticipate where I didn't have to worry, because I knew that was their strength, and where I could help them pick up the slack because I knew it was their weakness. We were a team, and I built a couple of those teams. I'm just building them from a different level. And again, I'm just trying to give you guys perspective on where I'm coming from, and all of the little things that you're like, well, why are they saying this? Why are they doing this? Before I can answer that, I need you to understand the bigger picture, because every level, the picture expands. And you might be asking the question, standing at the line, putting cheese on a pizza, saying, why are they busting my balls about cheese? Because from a 30,000 foot view, I can very quickly see how you doing that cost me $15,000 a year in cheese that's literally being delivered only to walk out and throw it in the trash. I'm just trying to give you guys a little bit of perspective on where I'm coming from when I have to make my decisions. This truly is a good group, but understand, you're going to have good days and bad days. Your managers have jobs to do. So when they come to you about issues, it's a lot easier to own the issue, apologize, but I'm not looking for no fake apology. A fake apology is when you screw up, they come to you to hold you accountable for it, and you give an apology knowing damn well that you fully intend to do it again. That's a fake apology. Like, don't apologize for being late if you're just going to continue to be late, because you can fully expect that, just like Heather said. I implemented a procedure a long time ago that said, if somebody is scheduled 5 days and they don't show up for one of those days, only put them on the schedule 4 days the following week. If they don't show up for those 4 days, only put them on the schedule for 3 days the following week. If they show up for all 3 shifts, then they're allowed to come to you and ask for a 4th day. Because when we're making a schedule, we're planning out manpower on what we need for that day, for that hour. And if you're not going to show up when we depend on you, we now have to ask more out of everybody else in the group. So if you're not going to show up, I'm going to start taking days away from you, and I'm going to give those hours to somebody that I can depend that's actually going to show up. And the same thing goes for lates. If you're going to be late, understand I'm going to sit there and tell them, make moves to minimize this individual because we cannot depend that they're actually going to show up to work on time. And I'm saying all of this to be transparent because I know all of you, none of you are dummies, and it's really easy for you to connect the dots that I'm making and the conclusions that I'm coming to. If I tell somebody I got 40 hours worth of work and they only work 32 hours, well, the next week, it's smart for me to only schedule them for 32 hours because they only showed a willingness to work 32 hours. And if you work that 32 hours, hey, the door's open for you to ask for 40 hours again. You don't work that 32 hours, well, apparently I need to only schedule you for 24 hours because you're not worried about coming in and getting your hours. This is about words and actions aligning. And I'm saying all of this being very clear. Everybody's going to be sick. If you are legitimately sick and you do not have a call-off history, it's not automatic that they're just going to come take hours away from you because people do get legitimately sick. I'm talking about all of you owning your shit when it comes to habits and patterns that you create. And then when you get hours taken away from you, your butt hurt and you're like, well, why did I get that taken? Well, look at your own actions and your own patterns and hold yourself accountable and don't ask dumb questions. If you were scheduled for 40 and you've shown a pattern of showing up for 32, don't come whining about why didn't you get the hours. You've shown you're not dependable and you're not going to show up for the hours, and we're trying to cover a schedule. And I'm not trying to be a shit about it. I'm just being honest. We got a business to run, and every time that we do not have the appropriate person in the appropriate slot, we have to ask everybody else to pick up the slack. And that's not how A and B players operate. Have I said anything that sounds unreasonable or irrational, I guess? Because honestly, there's a couple words that I've come to find myself gravitating towards. I'm an unreasonable person, and I'm fine with it. I am not a reasonable person. I'm not expecting you guys to understand where I'm coming from all the time and always. I have a vision where I can see things that most people do not see. I am not a reasonable person, but I am a rational person, and I do have realistic expectations. And if any of you do not understand where I'm coming from, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, I invite the conversation because I have no problem explaining myself. Again, I did a lot of talking. I still do a lot of talking. I'm fine with that because I want to make sure that we're on the same page. And I just want you guys to understand where I'm coming from because I appreciate you as a group so much. And then I'm coming to your managers and saying, who are your individual stars? We need to be acknowledging those people because we appreciate individuals that make up a team so much, but I'm managing multiple teams, so I'm not always up on every individual in a team. But don't think that I'm not talking to your managers about who your best performers are, because I want those accolades, I want those rewards, I want you guys to know that you're appreciated, but you have to produce above average results. You have to give above average effort. You have to work in above average ways if you want to be recognized for that effort. And I'm just being real about it. And you're going to find, that's what I said, some people leave here and they go out and they try and give above average work to produce and deliver above average results. And they find out that they're working for somebody that never acknowledges that. I cannot answer for or deal with how somebody else manages or runs their business. I can only hold myself accountable. And I'm just here to say, I'm not that kind of owner. If you guys are going to perform and produce in above average ways, I take it as a very personal responsibility that is acknowledged, that is appreciated, that you are thanked and shown any way that I can how much I appreciate that extra effort. Okay, so I want to close with this. I put one of my TikToks out there, and there was one of them about Indiana. And it was actually, I got a pretty good response, but one dude gets on there and goes, you know what? I used to work for this guy. He's actually not a bad guy, and he always gave you the tools to succeed. I still don't know who it was. that had made the comment. I went to his page and I couldn't decipher who it was. Apparently he did work for me at a certain time. But the point is, at this point in the game for me, where I can't always be involved in the day-to-day, the biggest piece that I felt like, what is my responsibility with this group? And that responsibility has always been to drive the culture. And we have to have pillars of our culture. And for me, it's always come back to personal accountability, but we come back to we're serving a high quality product with exceptional service as a team that holds each other accountable. But then that gets to, well, what kind of employer do I want to be? And I see the different styles out there. And there are employers that look at people and say, these people work for me. And then there are employers that they look and say, these people work with me. I believe in the servant style leadership. To my core, my dream job was to be a union rep. I was the in-house lawyer. I solved people's problems. I represented a group of 500 people inside of the plant. And while I might have been a leader, my job was to serve my constituents, to take care of my people. I have never looked at this as you working for me. It is about you working with me. We are here to produce an end result together. That's why I've always tried to be open-minded and willing to hear anything that you've got to say when it comes to your perspective or ways that the lenses that you are viewing certain situations from, because I can't see everything all of the time. And I'm sitting there going, I'm trying to take above average actions. I'm trying to think in above average ways because I'm trying to produce an above average result in these teams, because I don't want you walking out of here, because the end result is that you have somebody that you can walk out of here and be like, he's tough but fair. He's a good person. I'm going to show up tomorrow because I like working for him. Or what an asshole. He thinks his shit don't stink, and they're here just to push us around and tell us what to do like we're grunts. That's what I'm saying. If you're a grunt, well, I'm telling you, I used to be a grunt too, because every job that you've done in here, I've done it myself. I am not better than you in any way. The only difference between all of us is decisions and choices we make, and we are all on a spectrum, on a timeline. So I'm here to tell you, if you want to be and do and accomplish wherever you are in your timeline, think about the decisions and the choices that you make on a daily basis. Nothing is going to happen overnight, but if you make good decisions and choices, you apply high character, good work ethic, strong drive and purpose to what you're doing every day, you will look back 90 days and say, I'm at a better place now than I was, and I learned a lot over the last 90 days. You can look back over a year or two period and say, man, that sucked, but I learned something new every day and I applied it to the next day, and a year or two later, I'm in a much better place. I have put myself through a personal hell, and I have sacrificed many years in my life. But at 48, I can look back and say, man, that sucked. I wouldn't have it any other way. I learned valuable lessons from it, and through making mistakes and parlaying good choices and decisions, I've gotten to a better place. And that is the secret to life. It's hard and simple. It's very simple. Make good choices and make good decisions every day. It's very hard because we all have internal devils that we have to deal with in our own ear, encouraging us to do stupid shit, to make emotional decisions, to go get into trouble. I have that same demon. We've just become friends because he's respected. I keep him in check. I don't actually let him motivate me. I'll think about doing something stupid, but I don't follow through and actually do that something stupid. And then I can look in the mirror and be like, hey, the evening might have been a little bit boring, but you made a good decision and your ass isn't going to jail tonight. Think about those things when you're making your choices and decisions, because all of your choices and decisions follow you throughout life, and that's what makes a reputation
And in this day and age, your reputation will follow you anywhere and everywhere. Like, don't think it won't. With social media, nothing dies. And with the advent of the police state, everything's being caught on camera. So even if you try and run, nope, it will follow you every day. Good decisions, good choices, it parlays into a better result. And it might not feel that way in the moment, but I am a living, breathing testament that every single day I have had to rebuild this business a couple times because I let a bad person come in and bring toxicity into a group. And it would splinter the group. Okay, I've got to rebuild the group. Now I'm just trying to be very hyper-focused on the group and do not let the toxicity into the group so that we can focus on what's most important, and it's that customer. That they are the lifeblood of all of our paychecks. Let's make good decisions and choices. Let's take care of our customers and know that you are working for somebody that we are working with each other. And if the money comes, I am not a greedy man. I will share it. Cool. Thank you very much for coming in on a Saturday night at 9 p.m.
All right. That is my podcast for today. I hope that you got something valuable out of it. It's me. That this is how I am. This is how I operate, where I have made a ton of mistakes. I mean, just an absolute plethora of mistakes. When I look back at how I have been able to build teams and how I have gotten buy-in from them and how I have beaten the odds of the food and beverage industry and the high turnover in the food and beverage industry, talking to them, being real, being honest with them is how I have gotten a higher level of engagement and now how I have gotten them to actually stick around, because part of being in business in general is that you're going to invest time and money in training, and you need people to stay inside of your system for as long as possible so that you are getting their productivity out the other end. Because in a lot of times, food and beverage can be you're training somebody for a week or a month and then they walk and all that money is just sunk cost. And then you're back to hiring and training somebody else. So it's very important that you are genuine, that you are real with them, and that you do pour into them and actually train them and make them feel like a part of the team, and you're giving them a vision to buy into and a business that they can be proud to work for, and a system that they can work well in to execute, and ideally keep them in your program for as long as possible, because training cost is a real expense every year that you can go back and realize it's thousands upon thousands of dollars in training cost, and the payoff is training people well, getting A and B players into your system that are actually going to perform for some longevity of time, where you get their productivity in return or in exchange for all of the time that you took to actually pay them to run them through the training processes and procedures. Again, this was just a little something different, because as I was watching or rewatching this, I just felt like it was I don't know if it was a good example. It's my example. It's who I am. It's how I am. It's me being real and being honest with people so that I can look at myself in the mirror and live with myself and pass or fail. That is me. And that's why I put that meeting out there. And I thought that it was a good meeting. And at the end of the day, I got a really good group of people in there, and I'm really proud of them. And so while we got hard issues that we've got to talk about, it was also an opportunity to praise a couple people and thank them for all of their hard work. So, again, that's my podcast. If it resonated, please share the show. If you know somebody that needs to hear it, again, please share the show. I need the ratings. I'm a guy. I'm trying to build something. In that way, I'm a stereotypical guy. I'm trying to build something. So any reviews or ratings that you can leave for the show, it's very much appreciated. All right. Till next time. Have a good night.